your host for today, Muskan Narang. So we have with us today a very special guest, Advocate Alok Vajpayee. He is an associate working with the disputes team at Singhania & Co. in Mumbai. Some of his practice areas are commercial arbitration, litigation under Indian Arbitration and Conciliation Act, and general commercial litigation before National Company Law Tribunal. He is also a qualified tribunal secretary certified by Hong Kong International Arbitration Center. So I'm really glad to have you on the show, sir. So I'm going to tell the viewers that I have already interviewed you and I have got to know you much better then. So I was hoping that this time around we can keep it very candid and I can get to know you as a person. So thank you for coming on the show, sir.
Thank you, Muskan, for the kind invitation and Law Talkie for hosting such interviews. I think it's very important for all the law students to actually know in person how advocates are doing. And I've seen a couple of your past videos as well. So you guys are doing great job and thank you for considering me for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. It really means a lot coming from you. So we've talked about a lot of things in the past, but I just wanted to, refresh those things. So we talked the last time about how you wanted to have a work-life balance.
Right.
So have you been able to achieve that from the time that we talked?
Of course, yes. I think work-life balance largely depends on where you're working on. So if you have senior who also promotes that kind of a balance, and my firm really does that. So of course, I have that work-life balance, and I also wanted to be attached to academia. I wanted to get paper published and write something. So I'm able to take out time for that. I'm also able to take out time for my own things, like I like playing cricket, football. So I'm able to do that as well. So yeah, that's manageable.
Okay, great. So how's been this time for you? Have you been able to relax? Because I know you had a hectic schedule before Corona happened.
Okay, so I think this COVID pandemic has changed the way we work, the way we see world. And specifically speaking about my experience, so it's been more than 135 or 140 days wherein I haven't left my place. So it's very different. At times you get frustrated. And in terms of work, so there's sometimes a lot of advisory coming in, a lot of matters coming in, but at times there is less work. So, and more importantly, I personally thought that work from home would be really good, and I want to do work from home. But that experience is really not very good because it continues like every time. There's no fixed time that 8 o'clock you have to leave the office. So it goes in and out throughout, and I think it's a big hectic on that part. But I think it's all the learning process. We are just getting used to it. So yeah, that's all. It's going well.
So is it a lot of online and virtual meetings and all that are happening with you?
Yes, it happens. So let's say you want to finalize any draft, you want to finalize any advisory opinion, or you want to discuss some matter. So it all goes through online only. So I think all the virtual meetings and all are really helping us. And now the courts have also opened up virtually, and they have expanded the matters which they are taking. So I think it's working well, and I think the technology is really helping us to keep or to be in the pace of the things. So yeah, it's going well.
Great. So I got to know that you are in touch with a lot of students from your college, which is Nirma University, and also you try to help a lot of people out, like young people out. So as in you're young yourself, but still people who are in college right now. So what is it in you that wants to help people out?
It's nothing that it's a total selfish act, if I should say that. Coming to why I help my juniors, it's because throughout my college life, I hardly was involved in any of the college committees, or I did not, as in, was the head or chairperson or anything. I did not even volunteer for culture events and all. So when I was passing out in my fifth year, I was discussing with my director. And then I got to know that because my director really placed a lot of confidence on me, she allowed whatever I asked her in terms of allowing my team to go to Hong Kong and Kuala Lumpur for different competitions. So I was just sitting, and then a thought came to my mind that in all these 5 years, the college has done so many things for me, and it's right time, or probably the time when I should give back to the college. And right from that moment when I passed out, and it also helped me when I said that it's more of a selfish motive, because if you see, all the mood problems are based on really latest things which are coming, new law,
Right.
new interpretations.
Right.
So you get to know what are the different arguments which parties can come up with, what are the different interpretations. So I think 1 year back or 2 year back, there was a competition where the problem was based on smart contracts and
Mm-hmm.
how smart contracts work, and the issue was relating to smart contract, and that was really a new thing for me. So I
Mm-hmm.
got to know about that, and I was discussing with juniors, and a lot of people in the profession would really not know about blockchain and smart contracts, which
Right.
these juniors, after reading, would like tell you that this is how it works. So
Right.
I think that's other motive. And third thing, I think, which really pushes me to help these juniors, I think it builds a good relation as well. And
Mm-hmm.
in this profession, it's all about building relations. So
Mm-hmm.
one of my seniors said that, let's say, Alok, you are good in some subject and a lot of juniors are approaching you.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, when those juniors would become lawyers, they might come up with some briefs to you or some cases to
Mm-hmm.
you. So I
Right.
think that is another perspective, but it's just the learning way. It's not like some immediate benefits would come, but I think it brings me happiness as well, because a lot of juniors would appreciate, thank you so much, and all. It makes you happy. So yeah, just to make myself happy, I do that.
Right. So let's talk about your law school journey. Just like you said that you didn't actually contribute to college a lot, but what did you do except contributing to college?
Okay, so when I was in my first year, I was very clear that I want to invest on skills, not on particular like what everybody is doing that I have to do. That was not my. I was very clear that there are
Mm-hmm.
certain specific skills and how I can work to improve those skills. Now, the reason I did not work for the college committees or volunteering and all, because in my school time or in my prior college life, I had done a lot of that. So I didn't want, because that skill was already developed. Heading
Okay.
committees or that leadership quality thing it
Mm-hmm.
also helps. I'm not saying that those things are just useless, but it helps the leadership part of it or team working part of it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that I did in my school life considerably. I did well enough. Now, whatever remained in college life was working on my uh, oral skills, working on my writing skills. And for
Mm-hmm.
that, first of all, I, Alok, when I was in school, is completely different when I was in college. So I was
Okay.
the backbencher, and all the teachers scolded me in my school.
Wow,
So
really?
yeah, yeah. So when I went to college, I had this one thing in my mind that nobody knows me here. So I'm like a tabula rasa. Nobody really knows who Alok is. So I
Right.
can
Right.
build my image. So I
Mm-hmm.
remember in my first year, I just used to sit in library. I didn't read any book, just used to
Right.
sit just to see what are the books are there. And people thought that this person is really very scholastic and reads a lot and
Right.
everything. And I think that identification helped me a lot, because my batchmates started saying, "Arey, tum to bahut padhte ho," and you are like,
Right.
and
Of
it
course.
it helped me in terms of actually working hard. Then when I went to my seniors year, I participated in moods, debates, writing papers, conferences, and
Mm-hmm.
most of the time people saw me in library. So this image was there that this person is really hardworking. Now, when
Mm-hmm.
something gets attached to it, matlab,
Right.
let's say somebody tells you that Muskan, you are a really hardworking person. Now you don't want that image to broke out, right?
Wow.
And then
Right.
you
Exactly.
work on that as well. That I don't
Mm-hmm.
want that. So whenever some junior came to me, I gave my best, because I thought that
Mm-hmm.
this is my image, and if I don't give the output, then it would break. So I think
Right.
it
Wow.
works like that. And I think there are a lot of, if you read this book on atomic habits, the second chapter of that book states that whenever you want to change your habit, one thing you should try, you should identify yourself with that particular habit and let other people identify. Let's say you say continuously in a day that I like playing this, or I like reading books, I like reading books, I like, you say, and then other people start saying also that thing. So it
Okay.
really helps. You actually would start reading books. So I
Right.
think
Okay.
that's what I did in college. I also played a bit of cricket and all, but the college did not allow for exemptions and all. So I had to drop that. But
Oh,
that's all I did in my college.
okay. So you were consistent and a very hardworking student till the end of college.
But yeah, I was, because in school I was not, so I had to work double. Because when I remember in my first year, I hardly was able to spoke a single line in English, and I saw people speaking so well. People, uh, so I just worked really hard. I used to talk to myself while I walked back to my hostel,
Wow.
and this is how I slowly developed speaking English. I was
Mhm.
not really good because I was from Kanpur, and Kanpur schools, maybe they are English medium, but that's only on paper. In reality, it's all Hindi. Even the
Right.
all would scold you that why you are speaking. So it's just that I had to work that extra edge in order to compete with my batchmates. So
Mhm.
I think that's all I did.
So how was it coming from Kanpur to Delhi and your experience settling here?
No, so I am in Mumbai right now. My
And
college was in Ahmedabad.
Ahmedabad,
Uh,
right?
I specifically chose Ahmedabad because of the culture there, and the fact that I've heard that Nirma is very much into discipline. I wanted some college who has special thrust on discipline. So I think
Okay.
in terms of my experience of Kanpur people versus Ahmedabad or Mumbai people or Delhi people, I think people in North are not very much helpful. I think they are more just into themselves. Whereas in Ahmedabad, I saw people who are really, really helping.
Mhm.
And I remember, be it 1 a.m. at the night, 2 a.m. at the night, people would stop and would help you in terms of, let's say, I want lift from someone, I'm
Okay.
in the city and I want to go to the hostel. People would readily do that and would help me. But I can't imagine in Kanpur somebody doing that because people are so afraid that this person might kill me or he's a murderer or I don't know.
Right, right.
So I think it's good. Ahmedabad is really good in terms of people, and that experience is awesome.
Okay. And then you shifted to Mumbai.
Yeah, Mumbai is, since it's a commercial capital, mostly commercial transactions happen there. And my internships in Mumbai were really well because the people in Mumbai are very professional,
Mhm.
and I think they prefer merits, and they clearly see that if this person is doing well, he or she has to be promoted. So I
Okay.
think Mumbai people are very practical in that scenario. They don't really have any, as in, so in Delhi, there would be some circuit where you'll say
Mhm.
favoritism is there. But
Mhm.
Mumbai, of course, there would be, but it's not like Delhi. So Mumbai is very professional.
Okay.
Yeah. So therefore, I went to Mumbai.
Okay. So let's talk about internships now, since you've done a lot of internships.
Mhm.
And so which one did you enjoy the most?
Okay, so I enjoyed the most my first internship. That was NGO internship.
Right, I remember.
So I did a NGO internship under Kiran Bedi. There's this organization, Navjyoti India Foundation.
Mhm.
So it's a urban resettlement program outside the Delhi. There is a place called Bhawana. So
Right.
what happened? There was a small school,
Mhm.
and there were a lot of till 10th it was there, and I along with two of my friends interned there. Now
Mhm.
one of my, as a person, one thing which is very close to me is organizing sports events. So right from past 15 years, I'm organizing a cricket tournament in my hometown, right?
Mhm.
And we have a lot of teams, auction is there, and this is something I really like.
Wow. Sounds interesting.
So, so my perspective for doing that is when I started it when I was quite young, as in I don't remember, it would be 12 or 13 years when I was there.
Okay.
So I started with this small tournament, and I saw that people really got purpose. And when I left Kanpur, so a lot of friends who were my age got into different things, as in uh, I would say a bad company, and they involved
Mm-hmm.
into not really, because in Kanpur and small towns, all of these things are very common. But when I saw that people who were associated with this tournament
Mm-hmm.
were really into this tournament and were not involving in other activities because they were being appreciated by a lot of people that this is good and all. And I think in world, a lot of things work on appreciation. So therefore, I continued after 12th also in all my college life. So I took a break of 15 days, and till today I do that. I leave my office. Even in my interviews, I say that I need 15 days because I want to organize. So
Right.
with that perspective only, we organized a sports fest in Navjyoti India Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Now it was a 3 week sport fest. We have kabaddi, we had cricket, we had badminton, and we had tug of war.
Okay.
Now, cricket was for senior from 6 to 10 boys,
Okay.
and kabaddi was for girls 6 to 10. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the biggest challenge came, the Navjyoti people were unable to arrange a what do you call a proper ground for kabaddi.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was decided that in the platform, which is just outside the office,
Mm-hmm.
in the cemented platform, we'll play kabaddi. And I was like amazed to see
Mm-hmm.
that how there were around 100 girls who participated, and the passion which they played, it was so awesome. I still have few videos, and I really got to know that woman empowerment thing, because
Right.
playing in cement kabaddi is really
Mm-hmm.
tough. You see a lot of injuries were
No,
there,
can't
and
imagine.
still they continued to play.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I made sure, because as a sports organizer, I always had this perspective that it's about giving that feeling. When I talk about that feeling, it is that when you are entering the ground, sound is playing, and you are wearing all the equipments,
Right, right.
Chak De India and all that stuff is going
Right.
to give that feeling to all those players. So
Mm-hmm.
I made sure everything before the match, there is national anthem, all the players
Wow.
are doing handshake. So it gives
Mm-hmm.
them that feeling that something big is going on. And
Yeah.
that's from the organizer perspective. And it went really well. And it was a really learning experience for me, because after, when there was the award ceremony, so we divided the four groups. If you remember, in school, there is houses concept, that
Yeah.
red, green, yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I divided into four big teams.
Mm-hmm.
And since it was a big tournament, so every day the points table get up as in updated.
Yeah.
So in the evening we did that, and a lot of students were saying, "Sir, kaun jeet raha hai, kaun aage, kaun piche hai?" And
Wow.
when finally the award ceremony took place
Mm-hmm.
and the awards were given to the students, a lot of students came to me and said with a permanent marker, and they said, "Please sign the award. Please sign the award, sir. Please."
Wow.
And that was so touching moment for me. And I think irrespective of all my 13, 14 internship, that remains afresh in my mind. And that was the best internship, I could say. Really gave happiness to me.
Right. Beautiful. So, I was wondering that if you want an advocate right now, what would you be? A cricketer?
Come again, what's your question?
So, if
I
you
don't
were
want the
not an
active.
advocate,
Okay,
what
okay.
would you be?
I think I am not good enough in anything, and I think advocate was the only option I have, and that's the
Right.
only skill I can work on. Of course, cricket, there's a lot of competition. I think every home has two or three cricketers. So I won't say I would have been. I might have been a struggling cricketer, but can't say about actual cricketer or playing some good or representing India. But I think, yeah, lawyer was the best thing for me, and I had no other option. I should say that.
Okay. So, I can see that you've been organizing a lot of competitions, I think, with like PUBG and everything and
Oh
Ludo.
yeah, yeah. Okay, coming to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this my tournament, since I've told you that since past 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
we are being continuously organizing this tournament, right? Now, because of this coronavirus, we
Right.
were unable to do so.
Right.
Now, I was sitting with my team, and we were like, that we have to do something. We can't just sit like that, right? Just to
Can I
bring
just
that thing.
ask you one thing? Who's the team here?
So, there's my one school friend who did his sports management from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
So he's into organizing with me all these, and then there's a team of 20 other people who are actively organizing. As in, some of them are working individuals, some of them, all of them are from Kanpur only, because
Okay.
we have been playing since our 12, 13 years age.
Okay.
So then we were sitting and thinking uh, that this year no tournament happened, and next year we have to make it big. Big in sense, more sponsors, more limelight, and everything. And for that we need more funds and more engagements as well.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore we founded this KridaBuzz.com. So we have an official website now also,
Wow.
where we write blogs as well. We are organizing online tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
We are also entering into few of the social events as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a small initiative I've tried to, because that's my, I should know, yeah, that's my passion. That is something I really like doing
Right.
without getting much benefits out of it. But I just started with that. As in 2 months back, we have
Right.
started
It
with
was
the
such a
pub.
surprise that I was seeing that on your this thing. I was like, are you really organizing that? I was really curious.
So my team is doing that. I haven't played PUBG in my life. I have just
Okay,
seen
you
that what
haven't.
PUBG. No, I
Okay.
haven't. So my team does that. I am just the one of the person who's helping the team, not more than that. Just
Okay.
to get more engagements probably. Or
Right.
I think it's good. Something needs to be done in terms of engaging people, and when people find purpose. Because in small cities, you don't see there are a lot of jobs. I don't see, if I want to practice international arbitration here, I can get that opportunity. No, you can't.
Mhm.
So I think in world, a lot of things work on appreciation, and all the bad people get that appreciation as well too. So let's say there is some gunda, and he would get that appreciation from junior gunda. They'll say, "Wow, kya mara hai, kya pita hai." So that the world works on appreciation, and therefore I think appreciation is very, very important.
Right. And if you don't want to rationalize it, the simple thing is that I enjoy it, so I do it. So what?
Exactly,
Right.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So what is your relationship with your seniors?
Okay, so there are very, very few seniors I talked with. Uh, uh, whatever relationship I have right now, it's almost like I'm talking to my professional colleagues and all, because all of my seniors really recognize that I'm doing very well in terms of doing webinars or conferences
Right.
or making my name in the field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like I'm talking to my friend. All of my seniors call me at times to ask about any arbitration query, and I'm more than and I do the same thing. If I have other related query, I ask them. So I think it's a more of a professional relationship. I hardly had any senior who I was very close with.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever I have, it's like very professional. They come to me, I go to them, and that's how it works.
Okay. So you told me a very interesting thing the last time we were talking about how you came into doing law, like your father
Yeah.
encouraged you about. So could you tell that story, please? It's really
Okay.
interesting.
So uh, look, I think that would be with everyone,
Right.
that their parents are almost equal to God, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but I think my father has a very different personality in terms of that. And my father was the first neurosurgeon of Kanpur. And I'll tell you few of the examples how it works here. So
Mm-hmm.
when I was in my 11th, I went to my coaching and I took my father's car.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came out from my coaching, I saw that one of the person was just worshipping that car. And
Wow.
I was like, what the hell? I thought he's drunk or what. So I think,
Right.
Bhaiya, what you are doing? So he said, ये डॉक्टर वाजपेयी की कार है ना, इन्होंने मेरी दादी का ऑपरेशन किया था, and उनकी उनकी वजह से दादी अभी भी जिंदा है. And now
Wow.
this is just one of the example.
Mm-hmm.
I go to market and buy some vegetables, then people would recognize me. I went to High Court, people recognized me, Allahabad High Court. So it's like almost, my father is almost a celebrity. Now that's the part of the career. Now I
Right.
know him personally, and he's very, very religious person. So there is this, in Savan, there we do Rudravishek. Now in
Mm-hmm.
Rudravishek, there's this 3.5 hour puja, which he does, right? Daily, all 30 days. So I remember when I was young, be it he's coming late at 2 a.m. also, He'll do that puja between 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. and he would go to office again at 9 a.m.
Wow.
So that much of dedication he's still continuing. So he has a great influence on all of my siblings as well as on me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when because a lot of people in my school time said, "Tum to doctor banoge and your father is," and
Right.
I know I cannot do that. I was really bad in mugging up things, and biology was not my thing. I
Really?
was good in maths and physics, so I took PCM.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was pretty clear because everybody was doing engineering those days. Every second person, it's like
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of jokes on engineers as well.
Exactly. Yes.
So, so I was very, very sure that I won't do engineering from any random college. It has to be some good IIT or NITs. So since I was unable to do that and I was totally clueless that what I have to do, then
Mm-hmm.
my father came and said to me that, Alok, whatever you do, take your time. There's no rush in life, but try and serve the society at best. Whatever you do, just serve the society and as in see what you are good at. What are the things which you are good at to which you can best serve the society.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because whatever he says has a lot of impact on all of the siblings and therefore that made me realize that it's very very important to take your own decisions. Look, my father could have easily said that you can also do mbbs or other things, but
Mm-hmm.
once some decision is forced upon you, you
Mm-hmm.
won't act. You will always play the blame game. However, if you yourself take the decision, then you have to prove. Now if you say, let's say after a month or so, I went to my father and said that I want to do this. And I
Mm-hmm.
then started explaining different reason and all that. He said that don't tell me the reasons. If you want to do it, just do it.
Right.
Right. And I think because that was my conscious choice and I have to prove myself that this is
Mm-hmm.
the right decision. And therefore I worked really hard all my 5 years just to
Uh,
prove that I took the right decision. I think
hmm.
giving that liberty to children is very, very important. You should not force on, let's say I would have decided to go for cricket. He still would have allowed that because he was always, or he kept those options open for me always. He told me it's all upon you, whatever you want to do. Just be dedicated to it. So I think that's how I chose law. I compared all of these skills and all of the good compliments I get from my
Mm-hmm.
friends and families, and therefore I think law was the profession where I was fitting in. So that's it.
Right. So, are you religious as well?
Uh, Not religious as my father, not even 0.1% of him. But since I'm in that surrounding, so in my personal space, I do daily, if you know that Gayatri month. So
Yes.
there's this mala of 108 beads. People
Mm-hmm.
do that. It's very popular. So
Yes.
I, on daily basis, after I take my normal morning routine, I do that
Mm-hmm.
two, as in there's two mala, if you can say that. There
Mm-hmm.
are 216 beads. So
Okay.
216 times I do that kind
Mm-hmm.
of a meditation, if you can say that, where I
Mm-hmm.
focus on God and all that stuff. And I really like Bhagavad Gita. So all
Mm-hmm.
of the commentaries relating to Bhagavad Gita, all of the texts related to Bhagavad Gita, I like exploring that. And there's a lot of hell written on Bhagavad Gita. There's so much literature, so much
Mm-hmm.
interpretation, and it's a very powerful text. I would recommend everyone that should read Bhagavad Gita. So that's my only religious exposure. I'm not very much religious. I want to be. I want to learn Sanskrit as well,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not that much. But still, let's see. Maybe in future, in the next interview after 10 or 15 years,
Right.
I will
I'll be
bring
asking you
some.
that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So what about principles? Like I know that your father is a man of he would be a man of principles. So what are your principles that you hold in your life?
Uh, I think so. There are a lot of principles in terms of carrying yourself on personal space, in terms of carrying yourself in the profession.
Mm-hmm.
In profession, I would say everybody knows that in every profession there is things going which are not right, which you
Mm-hmm.
have to face, and at times you have to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about drawing lines. So when I remember when I was going to my first internship, I went to my father and I asked him, irrespective, he's from medical profession. I've always taken some suggestions from him, and
Mm-hmm.
it has worked wonders for me. So
Mm-hmm.
I went to him and I asked him that what are the key things which you would suggest me. So he said that uh, be it internship or be it your actual working, be honest. Honest towards your work, honest towards your colleague, honest towards yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so, and he told one other thing to me as well. Love what you are doing. If something is there, now I think a lot of people face that thing in internships as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you do some internship in tier one firm, and there you see that you are given some work which is not of value to you, like stapling up, or as in if you're doing just a part of it, it's fine. But if you're only doing that and it is
Mm-hmm.
not helping your skills,
Mm-hmm.
that is not really good. So he said, "Ki do something which would make you happy, and you wake up every day with a energy to do that thing, right?" So I don't think anybody in this world would be very happy waking up in the morning and thinking that मुझे पूरे दिन staple करना होगा, right?
Right.
So I think these were the 2 points which he told me, and I tried and applied in all my internships. And in terms of principles, so I don't drink and smoke. I haven't done it all in my life. So that's my one principle I'm
Right.
very clear with, that I don't want to do it. It's not that I don't like it. I think I have any problem with it. It's just that I don't want to do it in my life.
People
So
have talked a lot about social drinking. Is that a thing that you? So you've never drank?
no, I haven't. I haven't. So I think in this profession, a lot of people do that,
Mm-hmm.
who would force you to, as in, people would take that thing on their, and they'll feel bad if you don't drink in front of them or if you deny them.
Right. Right.
So I think it is a thing, and you need to deal with it, because I remember uh, last year or last to last year, 2018 it was.
Mm-hmm.
I went to one conference. It was in Vizag, DSNLU, Vizag. So I had a lot of questions to ask to all the panelists. It was divided into 2 days. It was
Okay.
all on arbitration. So after the second day, there was dinner planned. No, after the first day. So uh, since all of the panelists knew me, and they were really impressed with my questions and everything,
Mm-hmm.
so one of the panelists said, come with us in the bar. So there was this Marriott where the dinner was planned, and we went to the bar there, right? So all of the big names were there, big names who I didn't know at that time. All the big tier one partners were sitting,
Mm-hmm.
and I was the only junior person there.
Okay.
So all of the big names, as in people who I saw on different conferences or big firms names, all Cam, Sam, Khaitan, everybody was there. So, and I was clueless. And everybody was discussing, it was going well. They were discussing good things about law and how. And
Mm-hmm.
suddenly it came to me. Everybody started, why you are not drinking? Why you are not drinking?
Oh God.
So I was like, I don't want to drink. So he said, but what is the rationale behind it? Why don't you want to drink?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I don't want to waste my money, something which would affect my health,
Right.
and something which would, I won't like
I
drinking.
don't think they bought it.
No, no. So they said, don't worry, we'll pay for it. You don't have to pay for it.
That is not okay.
So I
Right.
said, no, no, not today, maybe some other day.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to beach and other things as well, but I just somehow got out of it. But I think it's the thing. In one of my internship, my seniors told me that you should start doing that, because that is where
Yeah.
you build relations.
Mm-hmm.
That is where you open up with people.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to my mind that I should start doing it, but somehow I was not able to do so.
Yeah.
Still continuing with it. Maybe someday in future I would, but
Okay.
right now it's not going.
Okay. So yeah, so I if I don't think the viewers will mind this, I just want to tell one story that my Bade Papa, who people call Tauji, he is the MD of India in Aeon. And he once told me that it started with one beer. He was just holding it. He was not sipping it, and he was just holding it. And because his seniors were there, so he wanted to socialize and everything. Because you can't enter that group unless you're drinking, because those
Exactly.
kind of talks you can't. So he's just held that beer. And the next time he realized it, he was drinking the beer, then he was drinking something else. So this is how it starts. This is how the social drinking part, it becomes occasional drinking, and then so this
That's
is
true.
how it starts.
Totally
Yeah.
agree.
So I was wondering that are there any books that you're reading, or do you interest yourself in reading something other than law?
Okay, something other than law, I like reading sports related stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So different articles are there on sports because that is something I like, and that is just effortless. You start reading it when the article would end, you won't even realize.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think, as I said earlier, also Bhagavad Gita is something which I really like. So there's this one book on, I'm forgetting the name, but it relates principles of Bhagavad Gita in modern day life and how scientifically the names of all the people who were kept in the characters of Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata were kept keeping different body senses in mind, and he the author explains it very beautifully. So I'm reading that book as well. Uh, Otherwise, I read some fiction and non-fiction as well, but that's very occasional because there's specifically, especially when I entered the profession, you hardly get much time. So whatever time I get, I read this my religious related thing and then sports related thing.
Right.
Otherwise, if somebody recommends me any book, I do that. But that's mostly law related.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So my next question is going to be about how hectic is your life, and do you feel like, okay? So let's please first answer that. How hectic is your life?
It's not at all hectic.
It's not.
No, it's not.
So
So
actually,
yeah, I think
people.
it's yeah. Look, I have one way of seeing life. If you love doing things which you are doing, it would never be hectic. Now,
Hmm.
I remember when I organized tournaments, I hardly ate anything. And same happened in Navjoti also. I woke up till 4 a.m. making schedule, fixtures, points table, and who's the best batsman, the leaderboard,
Hmm.
or the best raider in Kabaddi. And I woke up till 4 a.m. and I then again woke up in the morning at 8 a.m., rushing to the Bhavana office. And all of that was just effortless. And if somebody from third person you would see, it would be very hectic. He's not getting time. But I was really enjoying doing that. And similarly with law, I think if I'm into some arbitration or something which I like doing, of course, if it's something which I don't like doing, if it's compliance part, corporate compliance, or something which I run away with, then
Right.
it would become hectic. But
Hmm.
if you love something, it won't be hectic. I don't really understand the logic behind. If you really love doing something, it is not that easily hectic. Matlab, until and unless it becomes too much.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it's manageable. So I would say it is not hectic at all. I just enjoy my life. It's
Okay. I've heard many of my seniors, like I have done only one or two internships till now, and I consider only one being an internship. So I have done that, and every single time I talk to them, they're like, I don't have time to do this. I used to love doing that, but I don't have time to do it now. And I don't have a lot of friends because I can't socialize with people because of the time that I don't have and all. So does it, like, it bothers me to hear that, because I love a lot of things.
it's not. I think it's more of doing show off. Sadly, this profession, people believe more in showing off. They would not like, even if they are free. If some junior would say, "Can I call you right now?" They would say, "No, no, I'm busy finalizing some draft." Even if they're not doing it, because they want this impression to be there that I'm busy, I'm in
Okay.
a lawyer, and I'm 24. It's not like that. I think, of course, people are busy. It's not that nobody or everybody lies, but it's not like 24/7 everybody is busy,
Hmm.
right? And people, if want, they can take time out. It's not too hectic until unless you are in some team, because some tier 1 teams or some tier 2 teams as well, or some chamber practice as well have lot of work. There it might happen, but that would be for a, I mean, uh, I remember one of my batchmate was working in one of the firms. It's a tier 2 firm. She left that place within a month because it was too much work. and then traveling was also there. So she said, uh, people who remained in that team and did not left at that period for 1 month, they are still in that team for more than like 3 or 4 years now. That is because that month was very hectic. In that month, there was so much workload that the firms saw that this team is getting a lot of work, and then they divided that work with other partners. So whoever remained in that team got promotions and stuck to it. I think uh, people should also learn to say no. If you are seeing that a lot of work is coming to you, you should be open saying that, sir, it's enough. I can't do that. It's a lot of work I have already been done, and I'm not getting any time for myself. So I think it's not. It's about how you see life and how you take things. It depends on that as well.
And maybe how you can manage your time.
Yes, but I think more. I have seen that thing. The more most of the people would want that aura to be around them, that I am busy, I am having this meeting at 3.
Right.
Even there's nothing, still they will show that. So I think, and sadly that has come up with a lot of people who are working in law firms.
Right.
And that's not the scenario. At times you can take out time, 15-10 minutes. If somebody wants to discuss, you can take out time. Nobody is too much busy on that. But maybe, I don't know, maybe people would be too. I haven't been exposed to that hectic schedule till now.
Okay.
But maybe in future, I don't know.
Why do you want that?
No, so I don't know, maybe in future something come to me. I had no time to even talk to someone for 5 minutes. I can't say that because I haven't lived that. Maybe I'm speaking out of less experience. Maybe there would be a lot of people who are busy with so much work that they don't have any time for anything. So, but I don't think, I don't know.
Okay. It's just a relief that you said that, because it was scaring me a lot, that thinking about how I'm not gonna have time for anything that I like to do. So I'm into theater, and I don't want to stop
So
acting.
please continue whatever you want to. I know people, tier one firms, partners I'm talking about, playing football, cricket, everything daily on daily basis. Now, if
Wow.
partner is not busy and he was principal associate before, then why we are so much at the associate level? Or it's about your priorities. Come on, if you can't take out time for things you love, then there's something seriously wrong. You have to work on that, because that would really
Right.
push your happiness and would help you in doing things better. I remember when I organize tournament in once a year, it charges me for work throughout the year. I pray to God that I will work religiously throughout the year, but allow me those 15 minutes, 15 days.
Right.
Those 15 days are very crucial for me. उसमें कोई काम नहीं आना चाहिए. So I think you can take out time. It helps you.
Okay. So how has arbitration and your work that you do changed after this Corona time?
Oh, of course, it has. Initially in April, March, all of the Indian arbitrators gave or as in all the schedule was breached because they were unable to conduct the hearing. So they said, because that time it was not known that this pandemic would continue for so much long. So they said that we'll take the hearing once the lockdown ends. Right.
Right.
But a lot of dates were shifted, and till May or June, I would say, when we started writing to the arbitrators, and then the arbitrators, I'm talking about India, maybe a lot of Indian arbitrators agreed for virtual hearing in March or April as well. But in matters where I am involved, they said that let's wait for a month or so and then we'll continue, because cross examination on a virtual platform would not be convenient for the arbitrator, and because the technology is also so new. So we waited for like 2 months, and then we wrote to the arbitrator and they were like, okay, let's schedule the virtual hearing. And things moved on from that, right? But there are still a lot of arbitrators struggling with technology, a lot of lawyers who are struggling with technology, who are skeptic with technology. Luckily,
Right.
arbitration uh, in international sphere is running smoothly. A lot of arbitral institutions changing their rules, updating their rules, adopting a lot of virtual platforms
Mm-hmm.
or technologies. But domestic, it's a struggle, a little struggle on the domestic part, because let's say some person who is not that technology friendly, some lawyer, some counsel,
Mm-hmm.
then he would obviously be hesitant in taking that technology. Of course, some lot of people are doing it. It's not that it's undoable, but still there is, because I remember a lot of seniors won't even prefer reading documents on laptop or iPad. They want
Right.
hard copies. They want hard copies. There's still
Right.
a lot of seniors do that. That they
Mm-hmm.
can't read on soft copies. They need hard copies. Now,
Mm-hmm.
for them, it would be very tough to take everything on soft copy. Even you want to refer some paragraph to the judge, you have to do it on the computer. And it's not very easy for everyone. So I think we as a profession are adopting the change, and with time it would come slowly and steadily.
Great. So you talked about networking before. So how has networking helped you, and what is like? I would like to know what is network. How do you do it well? Like networking is networking, but how do you do it well?
Okay, so a lot of people see networking as an opportunity for growing in terms of professional, or in terms of, matlab, how should I say, in terms of taking some favor,
Hmm.
right? However, networking should not be seen from that lens. Networking
Hmm.
should be seen from the lens that you are just building a relationship. That's
Hmm.
it. You don't know what the fruits may be. It's just a relationship. That in itself is the end. That you have, as in, people network with a partner or some senior principal associate, thinking that they will give job to them. Now, if you do from that perspective, no job will come to you, right? Because
Hmm.
every time it comes, they would come to know that this person has this particular thing in his mind.
Right.
So you should do. I personally, how I do networking, I don't make it very obvious that. So let's say there are conferences where
Hmm.
you would see people going and meeting everyone and
Right.
exchanging their cards, right?
Hmm.
So it is, you are choosing, you have two options. You have 100 people in a conference,
Hmm.
you meet 100 of them and give your card.
Hmm.
And the second option is you meet only four people and you build a relationship with them, right?
Hmm.
Now, I fall in none of the categories, because I rush away as soon as the panelists speak whatever they have to, and then the social events start, networking drinks start. I
Hmm.
rush away. I don't stay there, right?
Okay.
My philosophy is a quite different, because I don't drink and I don't want to push myself to everybody. Let's say some seniors are standing, because I don't have that nature. Or you can't, I can't say that I am very extrovert kind of a person in that
Hmm.
level.
So
So
you are
what I,
introvert.
yeah, I am. But people don't believe I'm intro, but I am. I like to believe that, because
Hmm.
I'm not that extrovert. Of course, this profession would make you extrovert, but
Hmm.
still in comparison, I am an introvert. If I see other my colleagues, they are too extrovert, and I am not that. So I'm talking in comparison. Of course, if you talk with some other person
Hmm.
who's not from law background, I would look to be extrovert. So what I did in terms of networking, so it's about making the impression on the panelist, and then from that you can build the relationship. So let's say you are attending a conference, because lately when I started getting the invitation to be the delegate or the
Hmm.
speakers on different conference, I
Hmm.
saw as a speaker, I remember those faces who asked me good questions, right? Because
Hmm.
that gives me satisfaction that this person is at least listening. I don't know about
Hmm.
others, that this person is listening and he's
Hmm.
asking good questions. So that gives me the impression that he is attentive and he is dedicated towards this field or subject area.
Hmm.
Exactly, I did when I was at the other end, when I was in the audience
Hmm.
and there were great speakers on the panel. I asked some really relevant and good questions, and which they thought that it's very crucial to answer, or it's a tough question.
Hmm.
And once you do that, you'll see they will automatically come to you once you're going. So they'll say that it was a very good question and I had this thing in my mind
Hmm.
and what you are doing. So at times it happens, at times it doesn't happen, because there are a lot of people who just surround them and they don't get time. But you will leave an impression. Now, as an audience person, if you ask that question, and as a person meeting after the conference and exchanging the card, so I think if you'll ask a relevant and a good question, your your impression remains to be very strong, and slowly you can build on that. Slowly you can probably write on LinkedIn that I heard on this about your you wrote this article and I really liked it, and I have few comments. Of course, don't overdo it. Do where it is relevant. Do where your field you're passionate about. So if somebody is passionate about artificial intelligence, now, if you are doing with this intention that I would network with someone and who would give me opportunity, you will only network with people in and around India. Or if you want to go outside India, you'll do that outside India. But if you will do out of sheer will of just interacting with people or knowing about the subject area, there you have the potential of building that actual relationship. Now, in this COVID pandemic, uh, if you are someone who talk to your network when you have some work, it really don't give you a good thing, and it's not a good thing to do. So let's say COVID pandemic happened, and then you can make your own customized WhatsApp message or LinkedIn message and shoot it to different people, just inquiring about their well-being, right? Just and giving a personal touch to it. That I remember we met in February 2020, and it was really nice meeting you. And I wish we could have met again, but I hope that everything is fine at your end. Something of that sort of giving it a personal touch, and from there you build a relationship, and not necessarily for people who are, let's say I want to work in Shardul Amarchand. It's not like I would only network with people in Shardul Amarchand. Network in itself is something, it, you should not expect anything in return. You should do it just for fun. You are interacting with people, you are knowing with people without expecting anything in return. Now, you won't interview someone, only those people who you see as potential recruiter of yourself, right? You would interview anyone who you think is good in their field, right? So I think that's the right way of doing it, rather than only be very selective with people that I'll make lists of 10 people and I would target them. No, it's not like that.
Right.
So it's like, it's not, there is no right or wrong. It's about personality. Some people have that personality, their thing in mind. They're very good in networking. Some people don't. So like me, so I have to look for other areas or other things which I can do, other strategies.
Okay.
That's it.
So do you like doing webinars?
I haven't done much webinars. Hardly. I've done 5 or 6 webinars.
That is still a number.
No, as compared to others, I'm seeing it
Right.
really. So this is something almost. My last webinar was a month before, and I decided to take a break after that. So this is after a month I'm giving an interview or probably interacting something on that level. I think it's fun. Always, it's fun to give back to people who want to learn from you. Similarly, in conferences and all, where I've been invited as the speaker, you'll see a lot of perspective coming out from the audiences. I remember still one student from Amity University in third year. When I went to Amity, he asked some really good questions relating to IBC and arbitration and how they are interacting and how companies which are struggling with their debts can use other modes recovery and how arbitration and IBC can function together. So there were a lot of perspective and good discussion we had. And after the conference, a conference also we had. And I think it gives you a new perspective altogether. Now, books and all are there, but if you actually interact with people, then you learn a lot of new things as well. So I think conferences and all is one other way of learning things and knowing things, especially people from other jurisdiction who come and talk about their experiences, about their law, because arbitration is something which is a hybrid of cultures. So therefore, it's important you recognize some good practices which are there in our culture, and you take some good practices from other culture, and That's how it goes. That's why arbitration is very flexible. You can adopt different procedures and
Mm.
you can take best from everything. Therefore, I like arbitration. But I would put a caveat to it because arbitration in theory versus arbitration in practical is very different.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in practical, you see a lot of cost and delays as well. As compared to litigation, in cost wise, it would be way high.
Right.
uh, in time wise it can be reduced, so it's like you are buying time. If I
Right.
can say that, it's because arbitration would end comparatively in lesser time as compared to court litigation, but
Hmm.
with commercial courts coming in, there is improvement in that regard also. So I think that's it.
Okay. So this last question, I'm really curious about it.
Yeah.
So if we put a timeline from first year to fifth year, so
Right.
what does an ideal student do, or ideal law student?
First year to fifth year, what an ideal law student to do. I have a cross question to that.
Right.
That ideal law student, what he wants to do after the college life would depend on that.
Okay.
Now, if you see people, because there are different kind of people. You see, I remember few of my batchmates want to get into research
Hmm.
policy and
Hmm.
policy development and all.
From
Some
day
people
one.
want, huh?
From day one, they wanted to do research and everything.
As third year, fourth year,
Hmm.
third year, you can say.
Hmm.
So policy research, then there's NGO, then there's law firms, then there's n number of things which are there,
Hmm.
startups and whatnot.
Hmm.
So an ideal law student uh, would largely depend, if you are seeing from career perspective,
Hmm.
that what things are attached with that career. So a policy research person need not work too much in the oral skills. Of course,
Hmm.
on the presentation part, he needs to, but on the oral skills, not very important.
Hmm.
But as a law student, strictly as a, because a law student would work on skill which a lawyer requires, right? Now, what a lawyer requires, he needs to be good in speaking, so oral skill. He needs to be good in writing skills. He needs to be good in knowing anything and everything. As a lawyer, you
Hmm.
should know everything. Maybe
Hmm.
not master of all, but should have a fair bit of idea so that you can talk with different people, right?
Hmm.
That would relate to networking. If you meet someone who's a painter or who's from artistic background and you
Hmm.
have no clue about paintings and all, you would really fail in interacting with him or connecting with him. On the
Hmm.
contrary, if you're a person who knows about good painters, famous painting, and have a
Hmm.
great interest towards it,
Hmm.
would really help you in developing that relationship. So I think third skill or third thing which he or she should work on is knowing anything and everything. Reading about more reading is
Hmm.
one important thing. Now, if you want a stage-wise planning, that is first to fifth year, there's no straight jacket formula for it.
Hmm.
You can broadly categorize on things because it would largely depend where you are standing. Now, if you are a person who in the school life was already good in the oral skills, right? Who was an exceptional debater or an
Hmm.
orator. Now, you need not work on your, of course, not that much work would be required on your oral skills, right?
Hmm.
You might practice speaking at different paces in terms
Hmm.
of that you can work on, polish yourself, improving your vocabulary. But largely, you would have to work on your written skill, your research skill, your presentation skill, your writing style. So it depends where you stand. There is
Hmm.
no clear straight jacket formula that look, you have to do this. It depends where you are at that moment in your first year and what's your competition
Hmm.
and how you want to take life ahead.
Hmm.
That depends.
Okay. So thank you so much, sir, for being here, and I'm really glad to have you on the show again. So, please subscribe to our channel and please press the bell icon. And again, thanks to you, sir, for coming here and giving me the chance to talk to you for the second time. And I hope we can keep in touch after this, and I can get to know you better in the future also. So, thank you.
It was pleasure, Muskan. Thank you so much for taking my interview second time. And I haven't been open so much with anyone before in any of my limited interactions with people on such professional way. So thank you for this opportunity and all the best, and make best use of this time and take care of you and your family.
Thank you so much, sir.